the Invoke strategy, getting access to the Awais monster from the main deck, and ultimately this is just a elongated way or more consistent way to keep getting you to an Alistar the Invoker or an Alistar monster, whether that be the new one, the Remnant, or of course the classic Invoker as well.
Entering this tournament, I was expecting Brandon to be very popular as the fusion deck of the format. However, Invoked has outshined Brandon at this moment, meaning that Danilo yesterday grabbed his World Championship invite, and now we see Antonio in his 3-0 records at round 4, showcasing Alistar the Invoker in 2026.
Yeah, there's nothing scarier than Alistar the Invoker as your main normal summon on this one, getting access to Invocation, and the consistency of the new cards from Chaos Origin just made that even more viable. All you need is a monster of a different attribute, and this is where we're also going to be seeing the brand new Alistar the Remnants. This is the brand new one from Chaos Origins. It acts as an extension itself, but it also allows you to get a different attribute to the field sometimes once you link it off. So at the moment they're both dark level 4s, but once you're able to then kind of utilize your extra deck a bit more, you start to gain access to different attributes. The attributes you want to try and focus on and utilizing the new cards tend to lean themselves more to fire, earth and wind, which can actually be very, very important.
And I think right now the whole plan of the Invoked is to eventually summon Hyper Invoked Aeon, one of those cards that are really loved from the latest set, and I believe it has generally speaking, Chaos Origin has shifted the meta so much, right? It feels like we are seeing a total new format due to the latest set, and I want both Invoked and Light and Darkness decks to showcase how their true potential and their true power in this round.
Yeah, so it looks like we're just checking something via the judges at this exact moment in time. So it's going to be quite interesting to see. Yeah, so we're coming back to our table here, but don't worry. So it looks like we've got Alistar the Invoker plus the Remnants. I think they're just confirming if there was any kind of blockages or different plays that might not be able to proceed on that one. Hayley was able to kind of sit back and see the strategy on that one. When you're approaching a duel like this, so if we were to be in Hayley's shoes, for example, and you see the Invoke plays, do you feel a little bit confident if you were able to watch the game yesterday, or do you still feel that it's a completely new strategy that you need to kind of learn as much as you possibly can with?
I believe that every player here was watching very close yesterday's playoffs, and I think that everyone has in their mind that Invoked is a real deck. It is out there and it looks very scary, especially in the hands of a good pilot like, for example, Danilo, that showcased yesterday perfectly. And I believe that coming to this event today, you are expecting Invoked to be there, and you have to study during the night if you are not familiar with it.
Yeah, so when you're trying to do something like that, do you feel... Because I suppose you would have kind of in an ideal situation would have already got your deck list down and sorted, and then I suppose it's kind of learning where you could in previously go, oh, there's a new deck entering the format, maybe I need to look at other cards to add into it. Do you start to go, okay, what cards do I currently have that are locked in that start to become more effective in that particular matchup, and then start to earmark those particular ones?
Yeah, exactly, because if you're starting to change last-minute changes in your deck list, sometimes it doesn't end pretty well. So believe that you just have your side deck and just decide, if I play with Invoked, how do I side in, how do I side out, and what are the key points that I can utilize my cards. Because, for example, if you have Ash Blossom, for example, is it better to activate in Alistar, or if there is another scenario that it's better for you to hold us and utilize it there? And I believe when entering a tournament so serious like the European Championship, you have already studied a little bit about Invoke, because it is not like it was under the radar. It was definitely not in the decks that you were expecting to be in the top cut directly, but I believe that every player here has do their process, and they have find all the information around it. And lastly, it is Invoked. I mean, personally, it's one of my favorite decks.
Yes.
I don't know how you feel about it.
I mean, I love the approach that Invoked made. When we take a look at the lineage of the way that different decks perform fusion summons, so you take it all the way back to polymerization. So polymerization requires 2 monsters in the handle field to create a stronger monster. Then you start to look a little bit further forward into the future. So you have stuff like Shaddoll Fusion. Shaddoll Fusion was one of those first cards that allowed you to use your materials directly from the deck, but it did have a requirement on it that your opponent needed to have monsters on the field. And funnily enough, you do end up seeing, or back then we did see invocation or invoke decks utilizing Shaddolls because of those type of synergies together. Take a step even further forward, you then get a card like Branded Fusion, and Branded Fusion also is one of the ones that allows you to use the deck, and the difference between that when you look at Invoked is Invoked started to use the graveyard, which is usually a zone that you probably wouldn't always be able to access your materials. And what I loved about Invocation is that it not only allowed you to use your graveyard, but it also allowed you to use your opponent's graveyard.
Our graveyard.
Our graveyard. And I think that's kind of what just added another layer of fascination to it, because when you're activating hand interactions such as the Ash Blossoms or the Drolls, you kind of have to then consider, or back then again, Effect Veilers, do I want to do that? Because yes, I might trade off with the negation of something like the Alistair the Invoker, but then I'm also giving my opponent an attribute that if they're able to proceed any further, I've just helped them out a little bit more.
And lastly, I think that Invoked has, evolved so many good so much better during the latest years, and right now, Aeon, for me, it is one of those cards that it's really strong, especially against Brand, for example, which was my pick for the tournament. If you special summon Aeon, Brand has really a hard time against it, right?
Yeah.
It feels like if this monster is summoned in the field, because it is not only the effect, but also the recommendation, as you mentioned, Invocation, it just empties your graveyard. And I think it has shaped the meta quite a bit.
Yeah, I think that's really, really nice, because when you start to look at the new cards that the Invoked ended up getting, they got, in theory, a reverse Invocation, which was quite nice in the form of the Invoked Sword. So that allows you to use your Banish Zone to then give you your resources back to the graveyard for your Invocation as well. Okay, so it looks like we've got a bit more of an understanding of exactly what's happened on the table here.